Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to It's Tip Demo Time. Hello, I'm Jean. Welcome to the Stitching Cottage. Come on in and let's get started. Today I am going to be sharing with you, well, showing anyway, a little bit of it and how it is pieced together, my newest pattern that I have designed, which is called Veteran Stars. And the majority of it is put together and it is on the design wall behind me. I will say that that is not white fabric. It is actually a cream with red stars on it, but it is showing up like it is white on the screen. But we will get back to that in a little bit, but that is what I will be working on. I have the very last row to complete yet, and both blocks and techniques are included in that last row, so I will be able to show you how I put that together. But welcome, everyone. I've welcomed the early birds that have been in the chat. Let me see who is just popping in here lately. Mona says she just got home from driving Miss Daisy. Oh, and Judy is here. Welcome to you, Judy. Let me see. Oh, Christine has a tall glass of iced tea. I have a tall glass of ice water. Oh, Gladys must have popped in there. She is Gladys, the confident quilter. Welcome to you. Also, thank you for joining us. I think you're on another live at the same time right now, Gladys, if I remember correctly. Think I saw that. Vicky is here. Welcome to you, Vicky. And Debbie Williams, welcome to you as well. And I think I am caught up with the chat, but I am going to move my chair back so I can point out maybe a couple of things that you do not first see on this quilt and may wonder, well, why is it called Veteran Stars? Well, if you look closely, you will see that a secondary pattern appears and you will see a star with blue tips. Let me get the right direction with my hand as we go. I can't get my hand to go over where I want it. Right there where I'm pointing, that's the top of the star. Side star points over there, and the bottom star points right there where my finger is. And then if you pay even closer attention, you will notice that there is also, and just a minute, I have to find it. Had to look. There is also a white star that appears. This is the top portion of it. The side portion of it, the bottom, and shoot, go the right direction. The other side, right there. So there are two stars that, using the hourglass blocks, make a secondary pattern, in that with then the 9 patch that is like a square inside of a square. Also, it looks like it is diagonally pieced, which it is not. The rows go straight across horizontally. It is not diagonally pieced. So there you have a glimpse of that. And I do have my camera raised up so that you would be able to see the top portion of that all the way down to the bottom. There's one more row to put on that, as I was saying, and I will be working on the blocks for that so that I can show you how they were put together. Let me see. Katie Crafts is saying a friend of hers calls driving Miss lazy when her kids chauffeur her to appointments. That's cute. I like that. Oh, and Danielle, welcome, Danielle, dear daughter Danielle. It is great to see you this afternoon. Also, I thought you were hosting Kathy's on your channel. I did see that, but I had to get ready to go on, so I couldn't pop on and say hello yet. But, and that was Gladys that I was just talking to. They're the confident quilter. Right. So let me switch over my camera view right now so we can get to work on this pattern and these blocks, which I am working on the throw size on this pattern. It actually comes in 3 different sizes that I will have the pattern in when I release it. It's not released right now. Working on finalizing the pattern, which will be available to purchase as a downloadable PDF only, not a paper copy, just a direct download. And I'll let you know the information about that when it is ready and comes out, but that will be very soon. But the first thing that we are going to work on, welcome, Jim. It is great to see you this afternoon also. My eyes are deceiving me there. I wish that was on a different background. Hard to see. But anyway, I am going to show you how I make the hourglass blocks. And the method that I am going to show you is actually making 2 of them at a time. And this block is a 9-inch finished block. And with the method I'm using, whatever your finished block is, you need to add 1.5 inches to that size for the squares that you cut out. So they are going to be cut out at 10.5. And I actually have that right here. So I have the blue one and the cream one, and I have those right sides together. And the first thing that you are going to do is you are going to take a ruler. I can take my clip off there now. Once you have these all lined up, get that a little better down there. Make sure we've got it lined up as close as we can. You are going to take and you are going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner, just one direction. And that is on there already. And then you are going to take that. You might want to stick one pin in it just to kind of make sure it doesn't shift on you. But you're going to take that over to your sewing machine, and I will add that in so we can see that also. And you are going to sew. I caught the strap there on my cutting mat that's sitting there. But you are going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides of the diagonal line that you just drew. Thank you. Yes, hit the thumbs up. And Debbie from a Quilt Fact is here. Also, welcome to you, Debbie. So I am going to stitch 1/4 inch from the diagonal line on both sides that I just drew. Which I'm just putting the edge of my 1/4 inch foot on that line and stitching all the way down. And then I'm just going to turn this around and I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch on the other side of the line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over here to where I can lay my ruler on that again. And I am going to cut right on the center line that I drew. Make sure you don't cut on your seams that you just sewed. And we will open that up and we're going to have 2 very large half square triangles. And we're going to press those to the dark. I'm just going to finger press that first real quick. And we're going to lift this over to there out of the way for just a minute. And we're going to finger press this one also to the dark one real quick. And then what we are going to do is we are going to take And we are going to put, well, we're going to press that first. We are going to press that real quick first. That would help. We don't want to do that with just the finger press. That will not come out very accurate. So pressing those seams to the dark side. And now we are going to lay one out this way and the other one right side up. The other one we are going to lay right side down with the opposite fabrics going. So you have the white to the blue and the blue to the lighter colored one down here. And you are going to make sure that those seams are butted up, that everything is lined up. And now you are going to take your ruler again, and you are going to draw your diagonal line once again, right across these, right down the center diagonal. And you want to make sure on that darker one, you've got your line so you can see that. And now you are going to do the same thing that you just did previously. I'm going to stick a pin in here so it doesn't move on me. You're going to bring it over to your sewing machine, and you are going to once again sew a 1/4 inch away from on both sides of that center line. And let me check. Audrey Martin, welcome, welcome to you. Hello, you are new to the channel. It is great to see you. Thank you for popping on. And Joe with Vintage Style by Joe is here also. Good morning, good afternoon. It is not morning. Oh, okay. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did previously, stitching a 1/4 inch from that center drawn line all the way down. If you have a question or a comment that you want to bring to my attention, it would be very helpful if you tag me by using the @ sign with kept in stitches. When you do that in the comments, it will highlight it, and then I will be able to see that easier. Thank you very much if you would do that for me. So now I'm stitching a 1/4 inch on the other side of the center drawn line. Now I'm going to bring that over here. Remove my pin. And I'm going to take my ruler and I'm now going to cut this apart again on that center line that I drew. And this time when we open it up, we had a fabric fraying there. We magically have both of our hourglass blocks. And I'm going to set this up there out of my way for right now so we have room to work. And I want to show you a little trick on pressing these. If you work, you see how quickly I just touched that with my fingers. I'm going to try and bring that up so you can see. But I opened that seam and it is going to force them to automatically go the opposite directions. And that will lay completely flat now when I press that in the center. You will not have any bulk there. So I'm just going to finger press that first. And I'm going to do that again to this one, which all you have to do is kind of play with it. It's going to tell you which way it wants to go. Sometimes it's easier than others. But you will, that one should end up going that way, and that one should end up going that way. So there, we got it. If you push that down with your finger, it will help in pressing it to lie flat. So now we are going to press both of those. The direction that, oops, we messed that seam up. We'll go back over that one. Don't want to cooperate there. Okay. But that now is lying completely flat in the middle there. No bulk where all those seams come together. And it was very quick to end up with 2 hourglass blocks at the sewing the once. Then doing it some of the other methods. There are several methods to making hourglass blocks. So try them out and see which one you end up liking. And now we need to square this block up. And I just happen to have a 9.5 inch because this is a 9-inch block, so it'll finish to 9.5. That is what we want to square it up to. And I have my my Omni grid. It has the diagonal line right through the middle of it. It's actually an Omni grip, one of the ones that don't slide. And I am going to line that diagonal up with my diagonal line on my block, making sure that I'm not cutting off anything I don't want to. And I am going to square this block up by going down the one side and the top first. And you will see it's just a little sliver. I didn't get that. I didn't get that tight there, or that one. Time to change the blade in the rotary cutter. Okay, but there's just that little bit of sliver of fabric that came up. Now we're going to take that top corner, bring it all the way down to the bottom, and we are going to lay those sides exactly on there, lining up that diagonal again on the diagonal seam, making sure everything is within the ruler. Oops, and don't hit it with your thumb as you get ready to pick up your rotary cutter and cut. You won't be happy. Hold that down, and now we are going to cut up those 2 sides again. And I don't even think there was anything up there. This is very accurate when you sew it that way, so you won't end up with a lot to trim. But that one is now squared up, and now we're going to do the same thing to this one. Laying it, and you will find that one of these blocks always ends up a little bit bigger than the other one. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It just happens. Take that corner again that we just trimmed, bring it down to the bottom. And now we are ready to lie our ruler on there and do the other 2 sides. And there we have both of our hourglass blocks. We didn't quite get the little corner there. The fabric still attached right there. Get that off. There we go. Now we have our 2 hourglass blocks that are needed for that last and final row. So the other thing that we need is our 9-patch blocks. And let me get rid of my trash down here. Andrea says, I made a quilt last year for vets that I am in the process of writing. Okay, with the same name. That's funny. Okay. Well, they'll know the difference by the name of the designer, huh? Which this is the first pattern, I have designed many patterns, but I always give them out freely. And this one, I decided that I am going to start putting out some of my patterns as paid downloads instead. And this one, because it is a quilt that I designed for veteran quilts, all proceeds of the purchase of this pattern will go towards funding all the veteran quilts that I make for charity. So, all right, we're going to move that out of the way. And now we are going to pull the fabrics for our 9-patch blocks. And these have been stripped pieced. This would have been, oops, move it the correct direction, Jean. This would have been a whole entire strip, the width of the fabric on the top one, the middle one, and the bottom. This is the dark red, medium red, dark red strip set. And then you are going to subcut that into the size that we are using. So we need 3 of the blocks in this bottom row. That is all that I had left to make. Just started making this quilt late last night, and it is almost complete. So that tells you how quick it is to make. But this is just, most of you know how to make the 9-patch block. You're just going to take them with the middle one, and there we are going to butt our seams together. You can pin if you want to pin. I can feel that with my fingers. So on something this small, I just finger pin it. And of course, I'm going to sew that with a scant 1/4 inch seam. And I'm going to make sure that this one is also, that the seams are butted together. Open that up, and I'm going to finger press that to the darker outside strip. Move those to the side, and I can quickly give that a press also. I like to press as I go. I like crisp seams for accuracy. And then we're going to add our other strip onto the other side, of course. Make sure that it's butted together. I'm sure that would still confuse people. It's not that much difference. It doesn't matter. There's many patterns out there with the same name, Andrea. Doesn't bother me one bit in the least. So, and Danielle has to go check on her mom. All right. You'll be able to give us an update when you come back. Thank you. Which they're not coming out the way that they really look. This is a darker fabric. It's not as light as it is. Fabric has got stars on it. That has stars on it. This fabric has stars on it. And the cream one also has stars on it. So they all have a star theme on them as well. Is it available for purchase now? No, not yet, Jim. I am still working because there's 3 different sizes. So I'm still working on finalizing all the instructions on all 3 sizes that it is going to be available in. But as soon as it is available, I haven't decided totally yet. I do have a Shopify shop that I am setting up, and I haven't decided whether I am going to wait and put it in there or whether I will release it. That you can contact me through email and get it, but I think I will probably put it in the Shopify shop, and then I will release the link. I have not activated that to open the shop yet. Everything is sitting there ready, waiting for a few more products to go in before I activate it. But once it is available, I will make sure to make an announcement either in my week in review or whatever live I am on at the time, and probably in the community channel, and let you know that it is available and the link to be able to get to that. Thank you for asking. Good question, Jim. And there we have one of the blocks, and I'm going to quickly do the other ones while we chat a little. Make sure I grab the right things while I'm looking up and sewing at the same time. I don't like to have to pull Josephine out. She stays nice and comfortable over there. Uh, I will say that this, like I said, I mean, I just I pulled the fabrics night before last, and then yesterday I cut all of the pieces, which I still had to do some of the math that I was figuring. I didn't have everything complete on the pattern, so I was doing some of the math also while I was doing the cutting, and then started piecing it this morning. And like I said, I actually had to stop myself, or I would have had the quilt done, borders and all, before going on the live at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So it is, which this is the throw size, which finishes, I believe, grab my pattern here. It finishes at 51 by 69 inches, the throw size. There is going to be a larger size and then a baby size, because I also do quilts for expectant mothers and their babies. So had to make sure I had one also in the baby size. Or it could be used as a wall hanging, either or. And Samantha is here. Welcome to you this afternoon. Great to see you. I wish I could actually see you all. I don't know why I always say see you. I can't see you, but you know what I mean. Wouldn't that be nice if we could see both ways? Well, some of you probably not. I know there are people that don't like to be seen. And I am going to press that real quick. And we have one left to go. And then we will put the row together and add it on to the bottom, and the quilt will just be ready for the borders. But yeah, I knew that the dark blue stars were going to show up as a secondary pattern. It was a surprise when the white one, the lighter colored ones, also appeared. So that was a happy surprise. I don't know why I wasn't thinking that that was going to happen with those as well, but I wasn't. It wasn't planned. And I'm always on all of these, pressing that to the outside darker strip. Which, except for the seams of the blocks themselves, when you're putting the rows together, there are no other seams to be matched in the sewing while you are sewing these together. Except, I mean, yeah, the obvious ones in the 9 patch, but I mean when they are going up next to another one in the rows. You just have to make sure that those seams, when you sew each row together, are going the opposite direction. And now we are going to sew this row together very quickly. Move that over there so I can see it, make sure I sew it together the correct way, which we are starting with the 9 patch. And we have to make sure, you have to watch and make sure that you place your hourglass blocks of the correct direction on this. I'm just laying those out real quickly. And I will put them on top of each other, just making sure I have everything in the correct position. So now all I do is I take and lay the top one on top of the others, so I have them all in the order that they are going to be sewn. And I lay it the direction that the block goes next to me. So all I have to do is pick the first one up. And I usually put a little clip on the first one just so I don't mix up the direction that they are going. And we are just going to sew these together very quickly. Like I said, it goes together very fast. Not a complicated pattern at all. Hello, Melanie. It is great to see you this afternoon. Welcome. Oh, the great peel off. I would think your thumb would be rather sore, Mike. Sorry, got a notification that just popped up in the way of my chat. And I need to look down at this last row and check and make sure which way I press that. Okay, so now I'm pressing it towards the block that I'm adding on. To make sure I get that correct, because I'm working on a small area for pressing here, I'm going to press that as I add it. Would normally do that all at once, and that is exactly, as you see, why I put, you can't see that right now. If I move it over here, where am I? I think we have a delay going on right now. That is why I put a clip on there, because when I took that over to the ironing board and pressed it, I could have very easily forgotten the order that I'm going in and turned that around. Don't want that to happen. So it's always a good idea to, in some way, and my needle just came on threaded, mark your first block on your row. That way you will not get confused. And I know that I am pressing it towards the block that I'm adding. So all of those seam allowances go the same way, the opposite direction of the previous row that I stitched. And we want to make sure that we put that hourglass block on the right direction. Don't get it turned around either, or something will not look right in your quilt when you look at it and go, something seems a little bit off. Always check and make sure that you are putting that the correct direction. that quickly. And we have the last one to add to the row. And then we will be able to add it to our quilt. I'm sliding out of my chair. Somebody's talking about nails in the chat. Because my body does not absorb any vitamins. Right now, my nails are in terrible, terrible shape. And yeah, don't tell me what to take for them because my body doesn't absorb it, so it doesn't do anything. I already know what to take. It's just my body doesn't absorb it. So all righty. So we have our row all sewn together, which it doesn't show holding it up that way, of course. But yes, there it is, all sewn together and ready to be placed on the quilt. So let me see what our time is. We will go ahead and we will, excuse me as I stand up. I don't think you can see much of me right now anyway. But I'm going to take this down off the design wall so that I can add that to the bottom of the quilt. Lay it here so I make sure that I get it the correct direction on it. Snip it up. Little large to work with. Okay. And this I am going to pin. And when you are sewing your rows together, when you come to the hourglass blocks, which I am referring to the ones with the diagonal seam, of course, you want to make sure that you hit right in where your stitching makes that X there so that you do not cut your points off. Then everything will come together very nicely and very even. So I'm just pinning this very quickly so that I can sew it together. Keep looking in the wrong camera, wondering why I'm not seeing anything. It's because my hands are down here by the sewing machine one right now, not the other one that I was looking up at. Confused myself there for a minute. Not hard to do. Do any of the rest of you kind of do a little whistle, sing whatever to yourself when you're pinning your rows or sewing by yourself? I catch myself, I mean, it's okay when I'm, alone and doing it, but I catch myself also doing it on my lives. So no peel off for me. Yeah, no, it would probably do worse than what it did to your thumb, Mike. It would probably peel my fingernails right off down to the skin. So I don't think we will try that. Okay. Everyone in the chat is being awful quiet right now. So we are sewing our row together. And like I said, because the only place we have to match is where the actual seams of the blocks meet up. It goes together very closely because there is nothing else to match in between. Makes it very nice. And this is where I'm going to slow up, and I'm going to make sure that my needle goes right across that X. By the X, I mean that where your stitching comes together, there it forms an X. You'll be able to see it right away if you've never looked at that before. And Katie says, I hum, whistle, sing, and talk to the cat. Yeah, I do a lot of talking to Whip. I also have also have staff meetings with me, myself, and I. Oh, it's really funny when you have a staff meeting with me, myself, and I, and you can't come to an agreement. You like that. Oh. And Samantha says she doesn't hum or sing, but I do say a few choice words to my crazy cats bothering me. Oh, I have to get, don't want to say it too loud because he's sleeping right now, but sometimes he lays in not Whip lays in not so opportune places, like right on top the foot pedal to my sewing machine. And I'll have to get him to move. He follows me every time I get up and move in the cottage. He has to follow me and go exactly where I am going. It's quite comical sometimes. We are on the final stretch. And I always like all of my seams on my rows being pressed, either all of them going up the quilt or all of them going down the quilt. So the easiest way to do that and not have the bulk in your way, as you will see now that this whole entire, that's the last row. So I have the whole entire quilt here in the way, but because I always press my seam toward the last row added, I don't have the bulk of the quilt in my way when I'm doing that. And so I'm able to go over here on my small pressing surface and still be able to press that final seam. As long as my, whoops, as my iron is hot, it will anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and I like to press that all the way across first and then press it up. So setting my seam first. And I do like when all the seams are pressed nicely on the back and it looks almost as neat as the front. Don't like the look of seams crisscrossed and going every which way. I like everything to lay nice, neat, and flat. Right where those points come together needs a little extra pressing. Have to coax it to go the direction that you want it to just a little bit. Especially when you're using a smaller, not as heavy an iron as if you were using your full size iron. But we will get that pressed. I will change my camera here in just a minute. And we will be able to see the quilt already, except for the borders. And my borders are going to be the blue fabric that is in here. So let me there we go. Hello. We are going to take this. Now, this is should be my top. I have the top marked with a little sticker that says top and a pin through it. So now we can put this back up. Make sure everything's straight back here before I do that. And I used my little double pins here. We hang that back up. Which is a little hard to do with two hands, but we will manage. Oops. Didn't get it pinned the other way soon enough. Normally I would put it all the way up at the edge and I would put some clamps on it, but you won't see the top of it if I put it way up there. So we will do it this way. So there we have it. And the bottom is all the way. I don't know if you can see. Let me touch the bottom row. Yep, it's all the way down there. So that is the size without the borders. And it is not a real wide border going around it. It is a 3.5-inch border that goes all the way around. You can make it wider if you want, but that's what made it come out to the size that I wanted it to finish at. So, yeah, didn't take long at all. Like I said, I started yeah, piecing this quilt. I actually did some of the piecing late. And when I mean late, it was probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I was working on it probably around 8, 9 o'clock this morning again, and had to stop myself so that I didn't finish it. So it is a quilt that I believe if you really wanted to, you could cut all the fabrics out and get it all pieced together in one day, ready to quilt the next day. So a very quick quilt to make. Sometimes you need expert advice. I can't see who was saying that. That's just the bottom of that up there. But yeah, on the staff meeting between me, myself, and I, yeah. Very, you usually don't get into arguments that way either. You usually kind of agree, but that's where you get most of the answers, says Tracy. And Samantha says that she has a Saint Bernard under the table snoring all the time. All righty. And I think Tracy is saying that Whip is a sweetheart. I'm not sure, but and Joe has cute little helpers. My diva cat likes to walk on the machine paddle. Yeah, at least hopefully she's not too heavy that she doesn't make it go while she's walking on it. But and Katie says most of her conversations with herself are about where did I put? Yeah, I understand that too. And that's when sometimes, yeah, some of the language can get frustrated and take a different turn when that happens also, Katie. But oh, yeah, I guess that's not a little dog weighing 160 pounds. No, that's whoa. Yeah, mine aren't anywhere close to that. Mine are, I think Whip is probably, he's probably around 11 pounds right now. But yeah, that's a big helper. Thank you. Jim says that looks wonderful. And like I said, the fabrics look a lot better. They are deep, deep. They are actually Civil War era fabrics. So if you're familiar with Civil War era fabrics, you know they are not bright. They are a deeper, more muted tones than what it is showing up as on the screen. But beautiful, beautiful fabrics that I pulled them all from my stash. So and Mike at New York Beauty says he adores the quilt. And Andrea says, I love your veteran stars pattern. Thank you. And so does Tracy and Carol. Thank you very much. Yes, I like it. There's a lot of things going on. When you first look at it, it just looks like, okay, just a plain regular quilt. And then when you start saying, oh, no, it's not. Most people look at it right away and think it's pieced on the diagonal, which it is not. And then you notice, oh, when I look, there are stars that appear in the background. First, all you see is the 9 patches, with just a little something in between them. And then you realize, oh, there's a star there, there's a star there, there's a white star there, and they all start appearing, which makes it very, very neat, very different and unique. And Samantha says that she loves Civil War fabric. Yes, I do too. And still have quite a bit. It is the one fabric that I have loved the most and seem to have the most of still available in my stash. I was surprised when I was pulling fabrics for this quilt that I have a lot of beiges, tans, and creams yet, but my reds and blues are dwindling when it comes to smaller prints. I have large prints, but the smaller prints are starting to dwindle, which imagine that. I mean, I'm always making veterans quilts, so I guess some of that fabric has to go away at some point in time. But it's kind of sad to see it getting low, lower than what I was thinking it was. But thank you, everyone. Finishing up just a little bit early, close to the hour's time again. And Tracy says that Civil War fabric is her favorite fabric also. We have so much in common, Tracy. It's scary. But so, and like I said, I will make an announcement when the final copy of the pattern is available and where that will be available for you to check out and find out where to purchase it from if you are interested in it. And like I said, all proceeds from the sale of that pattern will go to help fund the quilts that I do for veterans, as does not to veterans. I have several charities that I do. Veterans quilts are just one of them, local in my area, but all income that I make from the monetization on my channel and memberships on my channel also all go 100% to fund the work that I do for charities. So that is how I decided I was going to do that when I decided that I would go ahead and be monetized. So that is where every bit of that goes, because I am totally self-funded, and that is a way of being able to just get a little extra funds for doing that. Sounds like a trip for fabric. Why do people always think that, Debbie? No, I don't have to make a trip for fabric. I don't have to leave home at all. So, and you forget, some people just cannot leave home. I happen to be one of those. And the short trips that I used to take have gotten to where no, they just do not happen anymore, unfortunately. Only the absolutely necessary necessities, and purchasing fabric in person is not a necessity anymore. So that would have to be something very rare anymore for me to be able to do. But that's yeah, I don't want to go into the details of that, but most of you know that yes, I am not able to leave home. I am the sole caregiver for my husband. So yes, the only place I go is to doctor's appointments and to the grocery store. That is it. But, and those are on regularly scheduled days, regularly scheduled time. But thank you everyone for joining me this afternoon. I enjoyed being able to share this with you and the process in one way of making hourglass blocks. And of course, there are different ways of making 9-patch blocks also, but I find that the easiest method for that is to strip piece and then cut the units for your 9 patches. And Jim says, thank you for sharing this. I know you didn't mean showing or showing, you might have meant showing this, but darn fingers or autocorrect, or, maybe sometimes people are using Siri and it doesn't type it incorrect, but that's funny. I usually can figure out what someone means, but everyone is saying goodbye to everyone. Judy says, thank you. Have a great day. Yes. So thank you, everyone. And I will see you again Saturday evening, 9:30 for Stitching in the Cottage After Dark. So be there. It's a lot of fun. Would love to see many of you back there again Saturday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And remember, as always, in the meantime, I can keep you in stitches. Bye-bye, everyone.